Good afternoon. Grandmother clock is chiming. It must be time, whoop, there's a moth, to talk about the ketogenic diet. Hi, my name is Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, and I like to talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the ketogenic diet and how you might be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life. Thank you for allowing me into your Saturday. Hello to everyone who is here. Hello, Jennifer. Happy to see you from Saskatoon. Jennifer's also a patron. She's always quite kind on the patron-only live streams to let me know that I can be seen and heard. Technology, we never know what's going to happen. Hello, good morning. I just want to say hello to a couple of folks. Hey, from Richmond and other. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm feeling a little puny today. Had a wonderful time at Low Carb Denver last weekend. I cannot believe it's been a week since I was there. Very well run conference, the best I've been at, the largest I've been at. And man, I tell you, there was not a person that you wanted to hear from that wasn't there. The world experts on research, clinical trials, journalists, everyone was there. And the organizers decided to have them speak 30 minutes at a time. So man, you got a lot of information in a short period of time. I did get a virus while I was there the last day, and many other people did as well. But that happens when you're hanging out with 850 of your new best friends, hugging a lot of necks and shaking a lot of hands. I want to tell you one of my takeaways from the conference is that, and I don't mean this to sound like, oh, well, it wasn't worth the trip. It was beyond worth the trip, and I will be going again, happily. But it was very nice to know that at least I heard nothing from any of the presentations that changed my thinking from what I've been, as I learned the protocol and implemented it for myself. Nothing dissuaded me from it. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated. The difference is that now there is just more and more compelling, wonderful, randomized controlled trials that back this up, as opposed to a few years ago where this protocol seemed to be swimming against the tide of mainstream science, as it were. And I'm science, and sometimes we have to use air quotes for that word. If you have been on the fence and worried, oh my gosh, maybe something is, excuse me, I'm going to have to cough. I beg your pardon. Getting over the virus. Or friends have told you this is going to kill you. It's going to ravage your kidneys. Your arteries are going to fill up with plaque and you're going to die in a minute. It's just not true. I mean, people can get sick from all sorts of things, but a well-formulated ketogenic diet is not dangerous to your health. It's actually quite beneficial. Carbohydrate is not an essential nutrient. Many folks eschew carbs. There was a carnivore day in Boulder preceding the Denver event, and lots of smart people were there. I had hoped to make it to that. I simply could not work it out logistically. But eat some nice fatty sources of protein and about a cup of non-starchy vegetables max a day, if you care to, and about 2 cups of leafy greens max a day, if you care to. They're not required. And there's no minimum requirement for leafy greens, period. just know that, for one thing, we should be doing what works for us, what feels good to us. We should be following our body's cues, no matter what someone at a conference or in a publication or on a tweet says. We need to get away from thinking we have to be told how to listen to our own bodies and how to feel our body. I mean, some just general common sense will tell you we are carnivores. We are omnivores, but we're carnivores mostly. And this is the way we were designed to eat, for the most part. Some people feel better eschewing meat. That's fine. There are many, many ways to feel good and be healthy. Listen to your body. Listen to your conscience, whatever it might be. But if you want to follow this protocol and have been concerned because you think in an hour and a half, another new study is going to come out and tell me how eggs are going to kill me, or butter is the devil, or if I don't get in at least 7 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, that I'm going to get scurvy. I mean, you can find a news article or a headline to fit just about any situation. So if that's the case, maybe we need to ignore some of these news articles and headlines and listen to our body. The conference was great. The world experts are generous of spirit. You know, I have a little thing I say around Go Keto with Casey. All I want to do is drink wine and talk about keto. That's all any of these experts want to do. They are so generous with their information and funny and open. If you get a chance to attend one of these conferences, you should do it. Because almost without exception, the world experts are very approachable and want to talk. So take advantage of that. You can go all fangirl or all fanboy on people. So the takeaway really is what those of us who follow the ketogenic diet, what we've been doing, pretty much we should keep on doing it. That's the takeaway. There will always be outside noises because there are people who, if they're not stating something controversial, then they lose their audience, or they lose their ego boost, or they lose the spotlight, which is important for them. On both sides, on all sides, I should say, because it's not just both, on all aspects, certainly of the nutrition world. There are people who like controversy, who gin it up, who they need someone to rail against, no matter which position they're on. They need that. They need that. And for them, I cannot disagree. For me, life's too short. I'm going to take care of myself. I will speak to people who feel like they want to hear what I have to say. I'm not going to do any screaming. And I'm not going to try to convince anyone of anything. Not my job. Not my vote. I don't get a vote on what anyone else eats. Nor do they on what I eat. And that's really where we need to be. Sometimes, we can feel like we're in this all by ourselves in our world, in our personal world. If we don't have family or friends who are supportive of us, it can be challenging. But ultimately, we have to realize the presence or lack of someone else's support or enthusiasm for what we're doing cannot be the most important thing. Our choices are our choices. No matter what this expert over here says, or this so-called expert over here says, or whatever this celebrity is espousing, or whatever this self-serving interest says over here, or whatever this book says, because you got to say something to sell a book. Ultimately, the decisions we make for ourselves need to be based on our bodies. For me, I keep my carbohydrate intake pretty low, well below 20 grams total a day or fewer. It's just the way I am. I don't eat that much food now because I don't need that much fuel. I'm much smaller than I used to be. I'm older than I used to be. I'm getting older every day. I require less energy, even though I'm active. I'm going to be 61 next month. So my energy requirements are different than when I was 41. Can I tell you, I'm a lot happier and healthier than I was when I was 41. A lot. I do not have the facility during these YouTube lives to show before and after photos or screen share. But if you go to my blog, KCDurango.com, just click on before photos. You can see I was a blueberry. So for me, this is what works. And I really don't care what any expert on any side of the issue says, because there's nothing that's going to convince me differently. If I start to feel differently, then I'll look at that. But I'm not going to waste any time worrying about people who are telling me I'm doing it wrong. I love to hear the good science that reinforces what I'm doing. Mostly so I can share it with other people. I don't need convincing. Hello, member of the choir here. You do not need to preach to me. But we're all learning. So I'm happy to share what I learn. I'm going to turn to comments now, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to break out my tortoiseshell glasses so I can read the comments. And I'm still a little bit under the weather, so recuperating. By the way, I say that because I'm going to get better, because a week from today, we will be getting ready to embark on a cruise. My husband and I, the Go Keto with Casey, ... the cruise, ! I've been making name tags. We've got a bunch of people coming. So I've got their neck wallets ready to go and totes. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to get better. All right. Thank you for allowing me to do this. So do I live on? Okay. Do you ever have a sweet craving, and how do you handle them? Okay. Cravings. No, I don't really. But let me tell you what, if I did, a craving is not a life emergency. We tell ourselves we can't resist X, or I just couldn't say no, or but I had a craving. I had to deal with it. And this is reinforced for us in the media and food companies and restaurants and everything else. But let's be really clear. Think of an example where, holy cow, thank you, Diane Gruber, $10 super chat. Holy cow, you should be asking a question. Thank you for the super chat. Super chat is when you contribute and then you get to ask a question. It stays pinned to the top. But thank you very much. Think of someone in your life using the excuse, but I had a craving. And they thereby do something that you really disagree with. Oh, I don't know. Let's say it's a romantic partner of yours, and they really had a craving to be with another person. And that was their excuse. Oh, but I had a craving. It was such a strong craving. Would you not say, well, suck it up, Buttercup? I'm sorry you craved someone else, but that was your choice. You know, that's an extreme version. But the same thing happens to go for chocolate and Reese's Pieces and candy corn and tortilla chips. So a craving passes. Craving is not a life emergency. And almost nobody's ever died of an unfulfilled craving that I know of. I stand to be corrected. Kim Holly writes, you helped me lose 15 pounds on keto. You know what? I appreciate you writing that, but I didn't do anything. You did it. You did it. It's very kind when people will write or say, you changed my life. I didn't change your life. You changed your life. I might have changed your mind. But take your victories for yourself, just as we need to own our decisions that maybe are taking us down a path we shouldn't be following. Own the decisions that take us down the right path. You lost 15 pounds. The struggle is in the mind, much less than the body. It's never in the body. It's absolutely in the mind. Craving is totally brain-driven. Now, if you are addicted to a substance and are suffering physical withdrawal symptoms, that's a different thing. DTs, from withdrawing from alcohol, sad withdrawal symptoms from opioids, and those have to be addressed properly. But not having a Hershey's bar, not so much. And I'm saying this not to be harsh. I went through this. I gave myself every explanation and excuse and every pass there was. You didn't get to be perfectly round for 30 years without doing so. And Shell writes, you don't crave sweet stuff when you're fat adapted. It's awesome. You don't. And of course, Dr. Westman says you don't crave what you don't eat anyway. You don't. Princess Ninja and Keto. Keto reduced my pacemaker/pacing by 30%. Off all meds, down 27 pounds, and no longer a diabetic. There is a story. There's a story. You know, for those of us that get all freaked out or want to hyper focus on a number on a scale, think of that. Coming off of all medications and no longer a diabetic, type 2 diabetic. Hey, Kim writes, I tell everyone about Go Keto with Casey. You're most kind. Thank you guys for sharing with each other, by the way. Yeah, that is wonderful. Hey, Deanna. Deanna writes, I love olive oil and salt. It has replaced all salad dressing and makes the salads fantastic. When I crave sweets, I pour this over a cucumber if I want sweet, crunchy, or an avocado. Very great. You know, we learn, and here's the thing. If we can separate our thinking about happiness, separate it from food. Food is fuel. Food is not comfort. We tell ourselves it is. Oh, I ate comfort food. Well, it's torture food. It's not comfort. If you're in a place you need comforting, and then you turn to a bunch of food that makes you feel ill, it's not comfort. But separating food from sport and hobby and love and entertainment goes a long way to getting us where we need to be. Okay, and y'all are talking to each other. Appreciate that. My tastes have changed so much. I love blue cheese and olives. My taste buds have changed. I actually really like beef liver. I didn't used to. I didn't used to like Brussels sprouts. I really do. I could pass on asparagus. Now I really like asparagus. I don't eat it that much, but I like it. Deanna writes, cravings are almost always triggered by environment, and being aware of what environment makes me want junk helps me guard against those triggers. That is very smart. Yes, it is. Sometimes it is. You know, I've never been a smoker. I'm grateful that I never smoked, because I probably would have really found it difficult to give up smoking. Everyone in my family smoked. No one would have said boo to me if I had smoked. I'm from a large family, 6 of 7 children, and one brother and I never smoked. Everybody else smoked around us. But I understand from smokers that a lot of times it really is like muscle memory. You know, you get in the car, you light a cigarette. You step out of a building, you light a cigarette. You have your coffee in the morning, you have a cigarette. So it's not even, I mean, I'm sure there's the reward center from the nicotine and everything is part of that. But a lot of it is almost like muscle memory. You know, you walk into your house, you put your keys down, you pick up your mail, you open the fridge, you grab something out, and you eat it. Without even thinking, you're looking at your mail, but you start eating. So if you can figure out in your environment the things that are triggering you to actually eat, brilliant. Identify them and then either decide to change them or not. You know, our choices are our choices. If we decide to keep right on doing what we're doing, we're adults. Nobody gets a vote. But if you want to make a change, a smart thing to do is exactly what Deanna wrote. Identify those triggers in your environment, whether it's your external environment or your internal environment. Nadja writes, my biggest mind change, food is not love. I finally got it. Thanks. Food is not love. Love is love. Food is fuel. Shell writes, beef liver is hard to find. I will have to seek a local farmer. I want to try it. You know, it's really easy to find where I am. I'm not in a particularly metropolitan place. We can get it at the Harris Teeter. Teresa Berthon asks, do you get the same benefits from bone broth powder versus making the bone broth? I have no idea. I don't use bone broth powder. Bone broth powder. So I can't speak to that. But, you know, making bone broth is pretty easy. It's bones and water. And you let it simmer for 24, 48, 36 hours until it's just drain off the bones, put it in the refrigerator. It turns into like this jelly. It's fantastic, and it's so good for you. But I can't speak to the powdered substance. Ana Garcia, hi, from Houston. Hey, Bonnie. Hi, it's been hard since I've been, since I have to be at my daughter's in Illinois, recovering from surgery and my broken ankle from a fall on the ice. Yikes. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, Lori Morse writes, U.S. Wellness Meat Online, grass-fed everything. I don't do the grass-fed everything, but people should do what they want to do. Okie dokie. Okay, and Anna writes, I've been looking at all the videos looking for your hamburger and cream cheese recipe, but can't find it. Can I tell you what it is? It's hamburger and cream cheese. You take ground beef, and I don't know what it is either, honestly. I can't remember even what I was making. It must have been some casserole. But, you know, I'm a lazy cook. But most of what we cook around here, whether I put it in casserole form and stick it in the oven, or just do it in a cast iron skillet or in a pan or whatever, it will be a fatty source of protein. So it can be chicken thighs with the skin, or it can be lamb chops or pork belly or ground beef or stew beef or whatever it might be. But ground beef, browned up, you can throw in, 2 or 3 diced mushrooms, maybe a little bit of onion, seasonings, and you just take some cream cheese and throw it in there and slowly let it melt, and it kind of makes its own sauce. Not one of my children. Let it kind of melt, maybe pour a little bit of heavy cream in there, but you don't even have to do that. You just pour in some liquid, more seasonings, and it makes a cream sauce. It's like stroganoff. So good and so rich. Okay, I did Divinity Girl writes, "Hi, Casey. I did very well last year in January, lost 30 pounds by May. After a few crises in my life, I gained 25 back. I'm trying to do it again. Any suggestions?" Yeah, go back to doing it. And then remind yourself, did putting on the 25 pounds help with the crises? Did the food help? I know it's hard. It sounds harsh. It sounds harsh. I myself self-medicated, so-called self-medicated several times over different times. One of that sticks out in my mind is the second time I was diagnosed with a cancer out of 3. And I decided to dive in to a pyramid. This was years ago. This was 15 years ago. Dove into a pyramid of bagels when I had been cutting back on carbs up to that point. I was just irritated with the diagnosis. And so I put all the weight back on I'd lost. And guess what? I still had cancer. So how do you get back to it? Next time you eat, leave off the carbs. It's that simple. It's no magic. Nothing magic. Leave off the carbs. And then realize that food is not the answer if hunger is not the problem. Food will not fix a bad job, a bad marriage, a troublesome relationship with your children, an ornery mother, irritable neighbors, bankruptcy. Food's not going to fix any of that. Alrighty. No hunger pangs. Went on keto, 20 to 50 grams of carbs a day. That's the amazing thing. People say, well, it's just calories in, calories out. Well, it's not exactly that simple, but ultimately the amount of fuel you consume does matter. The difference is when you are following this protocol, it's easy to consume less fuel because you need less fuel because you're not as hungry. It is fantastic. Hey, Ellie, man, it's been a long time. Ellie, how have you been? Mary Niss writes, the key to remember is why you decided to lose weight in the first place. When I'm having a bad day, I step back to 2 years ago when I couldn't walk without pain. I get mad and I get back to it. There you go. Take a moment. Think. If I can do this, you can do this. I used every excuse and explanation in the book. My life was one series of pity parties in my brain. And I have the best life of anybody I know. I always have had. But if I can do this, you can do this. It just takes getting to that point where food is not the boss of you. Food is not a solution to anything other than hunger. Hey, Barb, thanks for the super chat. I started my sister on keto, but she thinks it's okay to drink Pepsi. How do I convince her it's not? Well, Barb, you can't convince anyone of anything, I wouldn't think. I know I can't. And if she doesn't realize that a beverage that has about 16 teaspoons of sugar in it is not good for her, she's going to have to do some figuring out herself. Now, Diet Pepsi or Pepsi Zero or whatever they call it, I have no problem with diet sodas. But if she's drinking full bore soda, you're not going to be able to convince her of anything. And just tell her, don't blame keto for what the Pepsi did. Food is now my medicine, writes Debbie. And they do make zero sugar Pepsi. Absolutely. Coke Zero. That's what I drink around here if I'm going to have a soda. Okay, I am going to have to cut this short because I'm losing my voice. I already did a Facebook Live and it's been a long week. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank patrons who show up. If you go to patreon.com, I make about 20 videos a month for entry-level patrons, and there's a patron-only forum, and then there's other patron-only content going up from there. Patron-only live streams, patron-only video group sessions, and one-on-one sessions with me, plus discounts on Go Keto with Casey swag and all that stuff. But I want to thank you all for allowing me, and it'll be another couple of weeks before I'm back because we're on the cruise next weekend. That's going to be fun. Taking a vacay. And I appreciate it. I will feel better. A lot of people got sick from the Denver thing. A lot of really smart people got really sick. So there we go. Has nothing to do with intelligence. Yes, we're going to have a great cruise. And I appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me in and indulging me. See you in a couple. Bye.